What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to kdjTV and welcome back to 10-Minute Mailbag. Today we've got some great questions to answer from you guys. We have a couple questions about Set 3 and sets and seasons looking ahead. We have some questions about gameplay, some things about live series roster updates, really covering the gamut this week. And those are the types of questions I like, because those are the questions that are near impossible to answer in just a simple reply on YouTube. I need to verbalize it with my mouth. For those of you who are new here, thank you so much for clicking on this video. If you like it, make sure you subscribe before you go. But in 10-Minute Mailbag, I answer your MLB The Show 23 questions in as much depth as possible in just 10 minutes. We try to fly through questions. 4 or 5 has kind of been the sweet spot for how many we've done in these videos. But if you have a question that you want answered, it could be about anything in MLB The Show. Strategy, tips, opinions, whatever you want. Ask them down below in the comments, and maybe I'll get you back next week. All the regulars in this segment know how it goes now. I'm going to put 10 minutes on the clock. We're going to start reading questions. We're going to answer them. We're going to have a blast. I'm going to make sure the horn is not too loud at the end because people don't like it when it's loud. And, that's that. Let's go answer some questions. Okay, so perchance I've cheated by already preloading this screen up, but nobody yell at me. It's my video. I can do what I want. Who's ready? Okay, ready? In 3, 2... one, start! Okay, Scotty. Scotty is a regular here. He always has good questions. Do you know if SDS has ever pulled the cover off of what goes into their live series roster updates? Should they be more forthright, great word, with the philosophy and expectations for how they approach these updates? To my knowledge, which is minimal, just kidding. I like to think more than minimal, but to my knowledge, no. They've never actually explained a ton about what goes into roster updates. I know, for example, they've said in the past, like, a contact or power rating of, I think, 60 or 65. One of those two numbers is considered league average. So if you have a total over that, you're better than league average. But I wish I knew what their scale was in determining, okay, this guy's hitting 246 versus lefties, so his attribute contact, I burped versus lefties, has to be X. Like, I wish there was a sliding scale, and I wish it was transparently available. SDS gets knocked quite a bit sometimes for transparency. Technically, theoretically, we should be able to know, kind of, where a hitter's upgrades are going to lie after a roster update. I don't know, because sometimes they don't touch any, like, they'll just pick random players to upgrade or downgrade and leave others alone. I understand they don't have probably the people power to upgrade, I don't know, 600 cards every week or every 2-3 weeks, whatever it is. But no, I don't think they've ever pulled the cover off it. And while we're on this subject of roster updates and attributes in general, I think it's time to streamline the attributes and start getting rid of some stuff. I don't know how we do that. I don't know what needs to be gotten rid of. I'm just saying we've been looking at the same stuff for a very long time. I think it's time we simplify. I don't know what that means, but, you know, maybe they could do that in the future. Thank you, Scotty, as always. Next, we have his doppelganger, Scott. First Scotty, now Scott. What is your biggest hope for Set 3? So, guys, let me tell you, so far, Set 3 has been an absolute banger, in my opinion. Check back in tomorrow's video, the show, the podcast, on Tuesday, where we talk all about everything that has dropped so far in Set 3. But my biggest hope for Set 3, realistically, we'll go to the program path for now, is that they just keep up the momentum. And I know that's such like a kitschy, cheesy thing to say. But if you simply keep up the momentum and don't give me the lull that was season/set 2, we're in good shape. One thing that SDS does well, very well, exceptionally well, incredibly well, every year is All-Star Weekend content, or All-Star Week content. They've already blown our balls off by saying they're giving us draft prospects. 99 Paul Skeens looked like the best pitcher in the game. Spoiler alert, he will be this week's How to Pitch With video. I haven't recorded it yet, obviously. The card's not out, but I will be getting him. There's going to be draft content, home run derby content, all-star content, programs to grind. But that only lasts us really through the end of this week, and we still have many more weeks to deal with. I like the fact that All-Star Set 3 content gives SDS the opportunity to give retro All-Star cards like they did for Team Affinity. Side note, even though the Team Affinities are all 97s again, and we're going to get into this more on Tuesday, some of them bang. Still upset that they're not all 99s, but I will give credit where it's due. Some of those cards, like Tommy La Stella, bang. So, could be worse. If Set 3 can be close to or the same as Set 1, I'm in. Honestly, that's my biggest hope. And I don't think it's asking a lot, considering that a lot of the SDS people seemingly had all of Set 2 off. I'm just joking. I know that's not serious, but Set 2 was a large letdown, I think, really universally. There definitely were some very good cards that came out in Set 2. It's not as if everything that dropped was trash, but there was a legitimate lull in the middle. If you eliminate the lull, I'm in. Not every card needs to be a 99, but just eliminate the lull, and I'm good. So thank you for your question, Scott. Next up, Michael D. Mateo. 7138. I understand the value of sets and seasons, but do you think with only being allowed one wildcard spot for ranked, that the casual player, like myself, like Michael, that only plays on weekends will be more discouraged to play online throughout the year? It's a valid question and thing to think about, because SDS for years has attempted, in my opinion, rather poorly, if we're being honest, to toe the line between a player like yourself, who plays for enjoyment on the weekends, probably works hard, maybe has a family, doesn't have a lot of spare time, and then the player who, like me, who no-lifes this game. It's hard to cater to both of those audiences. Truthfully, it really is. And this year's game is geared towards the no-lifers, who just sit here and their eyes rot out of their skull, and they do all their grinding. As much as I like sets and seasons, their current way that they've put it together, that's the biggest drawback for players like you, Michael, who play on the weekends and don't have the time, or don't want to spend the time. Truthfully, it's not about having it. It's about how you choose to use your time. So yeah, that is a drawback. But when it comes to your actual question, I don't think there's a world in which they add a wild card. I could see maybe, like, in 24, they have a hitting and a pitching wild card just to give you that option, because you already can do a hitting and pitching captain. I know that's not a 1-to-1, but that's just kind of how my brain works. I just really think they want to encourage the usage of new cards. And I can get behind that, because I kind of think it's fun to sunset some cards for a little while before they all come back in Set 6 or Season 6. Again, I always get those two words. I feel like they're interchangeable, but I think they're not. But they might be, so I don't know. I don't think it makes sense to, I think someone else in the comments might have suggested that every season or set gets its own wild card when the new set drops. I don't think that's going to work, because at that point you filled up your whole roster with wild cards and you don't use the new stuff. I think we should embrace the new stuff. Listen, as much as I love Chipper Jones, I'm ready to embrace a new third baseman. As much as I love, hell, even Sammy Sosa. I know he's not Set 1, he's core. I love Sammy Sosa. I kind of think I'm ready to move on. I really want that Ronald Acuna Jr. So I'm just trying to get in the mindset of using new stuff as fun. And they're going to keep dropping fire. SDS's problem this year has not been that they haven't dropped fire. They've dropped a ton of fire. It's just been some smelly shit in the middle. But that's that. So Michael, thank you again for your question. Michael, another Michael. We got doppelgangers galore. Two Scots. Oh, no, you were Di Matteo, not Michael. Whatever. Sorry, I'm an idiot. But opinions on gameplay. Pitching. Oh, no, it was two Michaels. I'm a moron. I'm an idiot. Stuff about pitching. What's the gameplay like? What do you think? I think when this game has good connection, when the servers are not horseshit, this game plays very, very well. Hitting, largely, is very good. There are still some things that don't make a ton of sense in my head, like how sliders make the PCI incredibly microscopic. How sometimes you just get randomly launch angled for no reason. I think that might be a connectivity thing. That's my theory. I don't know. My big issues lie in base running AI. I think the base running logic just doesn't make sense. And pitching, while I think we've all come to accept that this is how pitching is this year, it is incredibly frustrating for a 100% perfect input on pinpoint to still have that much RNG. It's okay if there's a little RNG. It's a video game. But boy, howdy. Pinpoint is rough. And I do still think there's a large issue with very accurate pitching inputs falling outside of the par region. If you completely mess up your pinpoint, it should not be in the par region. But if you're like, if it's a perfect input, it should be 100% inside the par. The entire pitch should be 100% inside the par. It should not be 80% inside. It should not be 40% inside. It should be 100% inside the par. Because that's the whole point of input. And that's the point of the par, and it's the point of pinpoint. Pinpoint is supposed to be the most accurate. It has not been. It floats. It's bad. That is my biggest gripe right now with this game. But I think we've all accepted it to this point. I wish it gets better. I hope it gets better next year. I just don't think it's getting better this year. YouTube friends, that'll do it for another 10-minute mailbag. I hope I answered your questions. I hope I shined a light on the interesting things that are going through your skulls. I hope maybe we share some of these opinions. If you disagree, tell me. Some of you love to tell me that you disagree. I read them every week. But otherwise, if you have questions, let me know your questions so I can answer them next week. I'd love to have these conversations, continue this discourse. So far, 4 days into set 3, I am having a lot of fun. The grind is the grind, but this is the type of stuff I'm okay grinding for. There are real rewards here. If I'm gonna grind, make the juice worth my squeeze. Or so they say. Well, that'll do it, everybody. Thank you so much for making it to the end. I hope you all have a great week. I hope you all enjoy the content this week, and I hope to see you in the comments section of this video and other videos and all that stuff. Like, subscribe. See you next time.